You're welcome to the Midweek News on AAU TV, your trusted voice of higher education in Africa. My name is Nana Ismo Basam.
And I'm Jumaima Deladen.
In today's edition, Africa and Europe launched 17 joint clusters of research excellence. And in our health story, ketone supplements negatively impact athletes' performance, researchers find.
In our discovery for today, the International African American Museum to soon open in Charleston. And in our entertainment, BET crowns Burna Boy as Best International Act. Now stay with us for more news in detail after this short break. We'll be right back.
The African Research Universities Alliance, ARUA, and the Guild of European Research Intensive Universities have announced the launch of 17 joint clusters of research excellence, each co-led by universities from each continent.
The African Research Universities Alliance, ARUA, and the Guild of European Research Intensive Universities, the Guild, have announced the formation of 17 collaborative clusters of research excellence, CORE, each of which will be co-led by universities from each continent. By joining forces to address common societal concerns, the core initiative's best institutions in Africa and Europe want to change the nature of collaborative research, emphasizing equity as a precondition of outstanding and effective research. Each cluster addresses a key societal challenge framed by the Global Getaways AAU Innovation Agenda in the context of local perspectives to ensure maximum scientific and societal impact, the two organizations said in separate but identical statements on June 19th, following an ARUA Guild Summit earlier this month in Brussels, Belgium. ARUA and the Guild revealed earlier this week that the 17 clusters have been put together in the 4 thematic areas that have been discussed for some time, which includes public health, the green transition, innovation and technology, and scientific capacities. According to them, the project is distinguished by a commitment of societal transformation, since each cluster focuses on acute societal issues that necessitate the immediate emphasis of research and innovation. The clusters were created through a bottom-up approach over the past 6 months as researchers identified and formulated interdisciplinary visions in response to our society's pressing needs, according to ARUA and the Guild, who added that the initiative demonstrates long-term commitment from researchers underwritten by long-term institutional support. According to Peter Marsen, a professor of higher education studies at the University of Oslo in Norway, the argument for large investment in African institutions' research and innovation capability was made in a concept note by ARUA and the Guild in 2020. The memo specifically called for investment in excellence clusters based on long-term alliances of African research universities and partnership with European university networks.
As Africa's population continues to grow and with a large young generation, a group of African universities united under the Education Collaborative are trying to find ways to make young people become an asset to the continent.
Ashesi University in Ghana leads the Education Collaboration. It is a group of African higher education institutions working together to improve institutional, regulatory, and student results in African higher education. Rose Dodd, Executive Director of the Education Collaborative, said in a higher education stakeholder meeting in Accra on June 14, 2023, that they had been led by a solid conviction that this work must be collaborative since the collaboration's inception. No single organization can truly address the issues, and when we began to engage others across the African higher education field, we discovered that we were not the only ones that felt this strongly. She said many universities and tertiary institutions have and continue to participate in efforts to build coalitions and partnerships that provide different strengths towards this similar vision. However, the Education Collaborative is attempting to build a coalition at a scale that has not been seen on the continent. We are looking at 140 members at least, influencing hundreds more, and collectively driving successful learning outcomes for at least 1 million students by 2030. Professor Angelo Wusuansa, the provost at Ashesi University in Brekusu, Ghana, said the meeting was meant to share and reflect on the past 3 years of building the capacity of institutions to improve African higher education institutions. According to her, today's world needs people with ethics, prepared to act ethically to help those in need and to participate meaningfully in an increasingly diverse and global society. Owusu-Ansah said, adding that providing students with the best possible education offers means changing what we do, and that means time and work. We now live and work in an unusual world. Change and transformation have always been with us, but lately, even the rate of change is increasing and transformation has multiplied, said Professor Owusu-Ansah. We should then expect to assess trajectory towards transformation rather than determine whether the transformation has occurred because it is a mono or moving target.
Okay, so Jemima, data from the UN suggests that Africa is one of the continents with the youngest population, and even Sub-Saharan Africa has about 70% of its population under the age of 30.
Okay.
And collaboration, well, taking this this data into consideration, you realize that it serves as a great opportunity if properly harnessed.
Yeah.
And collaboration serves to be one of the key ways of propelling Africa from developing to develop.
That's true.
And it has to be in all areas, especially when it comes to higher education. And this is one of the areas that Ashesi University is exploring. So let's look at the issues that are driving some of the collaborations when it comes to higher education.
Okay, so first of all, I will talk about educating the youth. I believe that the leaders in Africa are now seeing the need to put in more provide more quality education to our youth, because they actually need it. As you said, that the African population, we have a lot of the percentage as youth, and we need to actually develop the youth, because in other words, they are the future. And this was driven by their shared goals of improving educational outcomes and equally ensuring that the youth in Africa receives the quality of education that they need. I also talk about curriculum development. When it comes to the curricula in Africa, I believe that there is more that we need to do. There is actually a lot to do. So this initiative, this collaboration is looking at bringing a relevant and effective curriculum to help in our educational system. And this, exercising this whole collaboration is going to help us develop a curricula that, after a student graduates from the university, they go out there and meet the target of the labor market. Because right now, when a student graduates, they go out and, they don't actually have the hands-on skills that they need for the labor market. They go out there with theories without any practical aspect of it. So we need a more developed curriculum that would help.
And this is where the university-industry linkage is coming. There's the need for the industry to be closely linked to the higher education institutions so that they can churn out graduates that are in line with their needs. Yes, okay. So now let's look at the, Ashesi University is one of the key stakeholders when it comes to this initiative. Let's look at what education policymakers can also do in line with what Ashesi, one institution, making so much change when it comes to collaboration on the continent. So
as you said, Ashesi is actually doing a lot, looking at institutional collaborations, youth development, and then other, helping their faculties and staff improvement. But I'll mention a few about the higher education policies. I'll talk about Regional Center of Excellence, and this body is aimed at support. First of all, they are supported by the World Bank and other partners, and they specialize in areas of research and in Africa. Universities and their research centers in Africa, and they are also a center that promotes institutional collaboration by training together universities and research institutions. And in this, they are from multiple countries. I mean, not just Ghana, I mean, other African countries. And this expertise are aimed at improving the educational areas in Africa. And I'll also talk about African Union Development Agency.
Okay.
So this agency is focused on promoting sustainable development in Africa, which works in collaborating with the education and also improving the skills of students in their various universities. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so kudos to Ashesi, and we hope that all educational institutions in Africa, as well as policymakers, will tap into this initiative to promote higher education activities in Africa. Up next is the health news.
In our health news, kinesiologists at McMaster University have found ketone supplements used by some athletes hoping to cross the finish line faster may in fact worsen performance. And this new study tackled contradictory research findings related to the effectiveness of ketone supplements, which have gained popularity among athletes seeking a competitive advantage.
The new study, published in the latest print edition of the International Journal of Sports Nutrition and Exercise Metabolism, tackles contradictory research findings related to the effectiveness of ketone supplements, which have gained popularity among athletes seeking a competitive advantage. Some previously published studies had shown the supplements improve performance, while others have reported they had no effect or even worsened performance. Natural ketones can serve as fuels for the brain and muscles. A ketogenic diet characterized by very low carbohydrates and typically high fat intake causes the body to produce more organic ketone compounds and increase their use for energy. Ketone supplements speed up that process without the strict diet. One of the main perceived benefits is that ketones may serve as an alternative fuel source during exercise or potentially alter the utilization of other major fuels such as carbohydrates and fats, and in turn enhance endurance capacity. Explained Martin Gibala, supervising author of the study and a professor in the Department of Kinesiology at McMaster University. But our findings suggest that isn't the case. The McMaster researchers recruited well-trained endurance athletes who cycled 5 or more hours per week, selecting them because their athletic performance is consistent from day to day. The experiment was conducted in a lab but simulated race conditions, and the participants prepared as they normally would for a cycling competition. Each participant completed 2 trials that differed only in the drink provided before they completed a 20-minute cycling time trial that closely predicts 40-kilometer race performance. The drinks contain either a ketone supplement or similar tasting placebo. The main observation from this study was that the speed that the cyclist could sustain during the test was lower after drinking the ketone supplement compared to the placebo, says Devin McCarthy, lead author of the study and graduate student in the Department of Kinesiology at McMaster. Researchers say the findings align with their previous work, which found keto supplements increase cardiorespiratory stress during exercise.
Stick with us for Discovery News after this short break.
Are you a university, college, high school, private organization, NGO, individual professor, instructor or facilitator seeking to take advantage of the numerous benefits of online education? Look no further. The AAU eLearn Africa LMS is a great opportunity to begin your journey to online course development and creation for teaching, learning and training purposes. AAU eLearn Africa LMS, which is a partnership between the Association of African Universities and eLearn Africa, has made available easy-to-use online learning tools to all stakeholders within the educational ecosystem of the African continent. This is to enhance teaching and learning in the bid to expand online learning opportunities for students in Africa. The online platform is open and available for free to all stakeholders and facilitates virtual access to classes without needing the other tools such as Zoom, Microsoft Teams, among others. For more information, visit www.elearnafricalms.com or contact us via aaulms@aau.org or estherm@elearnafrica.com. Follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at AAU eLearn Africa LMS.
Welcome back from the break, and in our discovery story, the International African American Museum will soon open in Charleston, South Carolina, at one of the country's most historically significant slave trading ports.
Overlooking the sacred site of Gadsden's Wharf, at which an estimated 45% of enslaved Africans entered America, the museum houses exhibits and artifacts exploring how African Americans' labor and resistance shaped the nation and the world. It also includes a genealogy research center to help families trace their ancestors from their arrival on American soil. Truth sets us free. Free to understand, free to respect, and free to appreciate the full spectrum of our shared history, free to feel empathy and common purpose, and free to build a stronger future together. Speaking at the on Saturday, 23 years, the museum had been originally set to open in 2020, but was delayed by the coronavirus pandemic as well as issues in the supply chain of materials needed to complete construction.
We'll be back with news on sports and entertainment. Stay tuned.
The Association of African Universities, AAU, presents to you the 22nd Conference of Rectors, Vice Chancellors and Presidents of African Universities, COREVIB 2023. The conference holds at Vinhor Country Club and Resorts from the 4th to 7th July 2023 and is co-hosted by the University of Namibia. Among the keynote speakers are Honorable Ita Kanji Morangi, Minister of Higher Education, Training and Innovation, Republic of Namibia. His Excellency Commissioner Professor Mohamed Belousi, Commissioner for Education, Science, Technology and Innovation of the African Union Commission. Professor Ishak Ulanrewanju Oloyede, Registrar. Sheikh Mansour bin Mo Salam, Secretary General, Organization of Educational Cooperation. Professor Jose Serso Ferre Jr., Associate Provost for International Affairs, Universidad Estadual Paulista, Brazil. And Professor Felix Dapare Dakura, President, African Academy of Sciences. The conference will, among others, serve as a platform to launch the following: the Novel AAU $1 campaign for the promotion of higher education in Africa, the Charter on Equitable Partnership for Promoting Excellence in African Higher Education, and the China-Africa Universities Exchange Consortium. Other speaking engagements include presentations from the AAU on the World Bank's Africa Centers of Excellence for Development Impact Projects, Obrel Global on the Harmonization of African Quality Assurance and Accreditation (HACA) initiatives, Education Sub-Saharan Africa (ESA) on the Demographics of African Faculty, European Commission on Youth Mobility for Africa, Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers (ICANN) on Universal Acceptance of Internet Domains, Bloomberg on Bloomberg Media Initiative Africa, QS on World University Rankings, the IDRC on Trends of Women Participation and Success in Science, Technology, Engineering and Mathematics in African Universities, the Carnegie African Diaspora Fellowship Program, Taylor and Francis, Ubuntu Net Alliance for Research and Education Networking, Science for Africa Foundation, EI Consulting LLC, and many, many more. For more information, contact Ransford at aau.org and ndakun at aau.org.
Welcome with the sports and entertainment segment on the AAU TV Midweek News. My name is Ajaman Ochredako, and our first sports story: in a room decked out in futuristic decor in an upscale district of Nigeria's economic capital, Lagos, is a group of young people trying to engage themselves in a digital game platform, esports, which is blooming in Nigeria now.
Several thousand visitors gathered at a spectacular video game tournament in popular esports games like Call of Duty Mobile, Street Fighter, and FIFA. Despite economic and logistical challenges, Nigeria is making its mark in the world of electronic sports. Amidst the vibrant atmosphere of the tournament, Kunmi Adenipabi, Chief of Operations at GAM, shed some light on the gaming landscape in Nigeria. With the country's immense population of over 215 million, known for its competitiveness in business, sports, and music, the potential for esports is colossal. According to him, though the exact number of players remain uncertain, it is estimated that Nigeria has at least 3 million players, with some suggesting the number could even be as high as 60 million. Akintoye Arogumati, known as the Arox, one of Nigeria's top professional players in FIFA, shared his journey. He revealed that he earns an average of 300,000 naira per month, which is 10 times the minimum wage in Nigeria. However, he emphasized the challenges he and other gamers face in Nigeria. Despite the growing number of professional players since the global COVID pandemic, the country still grapples with widespread poverty, power outages, and unreliable network infrastructure. One of the biggest hurdles for Nigerian gamers is the issue of high ping and server locations. This delay in registering actions hampers their ability to compete effectively. According to Kevin Durst, a professional competitor in Street Fighter, many of them rely on sponsors to make ends meet. These challenges highlight the need for improved infrastructure and support to help nurture the esports industry in the country. As Nigeria's esports community battles these obstacles, they remain determined to seize the opportunities within the rapidly growing industry.
That's a wonderful one with esports in Nigeria. I hope that it gets everywhere in Africa where esport becomes a big game other than the more physical ones. In our entertainment story, 2023 BET Awards celebrated over 50 years of hip-hop with tributes to genre's earlier voices, legends, and big names. And also, Africa's own Burna Boy was crowned the Best International Act category.
The Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles came alive with an energetic opening performance by the Max Lil Uzi Vert. But before that, the audience was taken on a captivating journey through the early days of 80s rap culture in New York City. The BET Awards honored one of the hip-hop's true legends, Busta Rhymes, who took home the prestigious Lifetime Achievement Award. The Best New Artist category went to the talented Coco Jones, triumphed as he won the coveted Best International Art Award. Despite his absence at the show, the announcement of Burna Boy's victory was met with thunderous applause. Burna Boy's win exemplified the global impact of African music and the growing recognition of African artists on the international stage. The night was a testament of the power of hip-hop, showcasing its enduring influence and diversity. DJ Kid Cudi skillfully waved through rap classics, not only paying homage to the East and West Coast styles, but also embracing the sounds of Miami, Atlanta, and Jamaica.
And that is all for sports and entertainment. Business news is up next.
In our business segment, African Developmental Bank President Akinwumi Adesina addresses rich countries' financial commitment to Africa at Paris Summit for a new global financial pact.
In the Summit for a New Global Financial Pact in Paris, hosted by French President Emmanuel Macron, the African Development Bank President Akinwumi Adesina addressed the urgent need for rich countries to honor their financial commitments to Africa. Adesina emphasized the staggering economic impacts of climate change on Africa, stating that the continent loses between 7 to 15 billion US dollars annually due to climate-related factors. Furthermore, he projected that this figure could rise to nearly 50 billion US dollars per year by 2040. He called upon developed nations to fulfill their promise of providing 100 billion US dollars to support climate change mitigation efforts, highlighting the crisis of trust that arises when commitments are not met. While the summit does not have the authority to make formal decisions, it serves as a platform to generate political momentum and highlight key issues for future international talks, including climate conferences. President Adesina highlighted the massive scale of assets currently valued at 145 trillion US dollars managed by institutional investors. Adesina stressed the importance of leveraging these resources and exploring private sector involvement in addressing the challenges at hand. Throughout the summit, activists and non-governmental organizations have urged the participating countries to prioritize debt relief for poorer nations, including debt cancellation. Additionally, discussions have taken place regarding the inclusion of debt suspension clause for countries impacted by extreme climate events. On the first day of the summit, notable announcements were made. Debt-ridden Zambia reached a deal with multiple creditors, including China, to restructure 6.3 billion US dollars in loans. Meanwhile, Senegal secured support from the European Union and other Western allies to enhance its energy access and increase the share of renewable energy to 40% by 2030.
We'll be back with international news after this short break.
You're welcome. And in today's international news, Isabel dos Santos, daughter of Angola's former president, embezzles 52 million euros from Angola's national oil company, allegedly diverting the funds to her Dutch company, Exxon Energy BV, according to the Dutch courts.
Isabel dos Santos, the daughter of Angola's late former president, has been implicated in 2 million euros. Angola's national oil company. According to the Chamber of Companies, a body attached to the Amsterdam Court of Appeal, Dos Santos diverted the funds to a Dutch company she co-owned with her husband, Exxon Energy BV. This decision was reached on June 15. This ruling marks another legal blow for Isabel dos Santos, who was once considered Africa's richest woman. The court's ruling explicitly states many persons cooperated in this shameful state of affairs, which led to Isabel dos Santos fraudulently obtaining 52.6 million euros in resources. The funds were embezzled through dividend payments. In response, the accused, who is now 50 years old, has consistently denied any wrongdoing, dismissing the accusations as a politically motivated witch hunt. The ruling against Isabel dos Santos highlights a significant development in the ongoing investigation into corruption and embezzlement in Angola. It sheds light on the alleged misappropriation of funds by individuals in positions of power and influence.
Now, thank you for staying with us. Let's take a quick recap of our headlines.
In today's edition, Africa and Europe launched 17 joint clusters of research excellence. And in our health, ketone supplements negatively impact athletes' performance, researchers find.
In our discovery for today, the International African American Museum to soon open in Charleston. And in entertainment, BET crowns Burna Boy as Best International Act.
Thanks for sticking with us on the midweek news on AAU TV. Get interactive with us on our dedicated news hub via tv.aau.org.
Do have a nice day. My name is Jemima Daladam Duche.
And I am Nana Esimon Basao.